So tonight's class is dedicated to Naomi Esther Bat Ilana Chana. For anybody listening, she is a precious 3-year-old girl who was just recently found to have a tumor in her brain. And so for anybody who is listening to the class, they took her to the doctor, and the doctor said that at this point, it's all dependent on tefillah. So if the doctor knows that, then Breslovers should definitely know that. And so I call on all of us who are listening to this class, and I'm going to upload this class even faster than I usually do so it can be heard. Please daven for her, Naomi Esther Bat Ilana Chana. Bezat Hashem, we all daven together. Hashem hears the prayers of the many. And Bezat Hashem, she should have a refuah shlema. There was once a person who came to a Hasidic master. I forget which one it was off the top of my head, but I think it might have been one of the Rebbes of Lubavitch. And he told him that he was found by the doctor. The doctor said that he had an interminable illness and he wasn't going to get better. So he came to the Rebbe and he said to him, "No, what do I do? This is what the doctor told me." And he was crying, and the Rebbe wasn't answering. He said, "Sorry, I need to think for a little bit." And he got so scared and nervous that the Rebbe didn't respond, and he didn't give him chizik, he didn't give him anything, and he just left for an hour. He came back after an hour, and the guy's just broken. And he said to the Rebbe when he came back, he said, "No, you have anything to mechazik me, something?" He goes, "Why is it? Do you think the doctor is God?" And he screamed at him. He said, "Do you think the doctor is God?" He said, "No, I just thought." And he screamed at him again. He said, "Do you think the doctor is God?" He said, "No, of course not." He goes, "So who cares what he says?" We're going to dive into Hashem, you're going to get better. And he did. So Bezat Hashem, same by Naomi Esther. Bat Ilana Chana, in the schut of all the true tzaddikim of this generation, all the true tzaddikim were buried in the earth, and the tzaddik Yisur Olam, the Nachal, Noveya Mekor Chochma, Morenu, Rabbeinu, Adonenu, Rabbi Nachman Mefegazal, Zat Hashem. And this lesson is in her schut. And this lesson is to prepare us for the upcoming Chag of Shavuot. I often say that the most meaningful Chag for me is Pesach, Chag of freedom. But my favorite Chag is Shavuot. And it's hard for me to kind of explain why that is. I think on paper it's like, well, you learn Torah all night, so that's like a dream, right? But it's much more than that. I feel something specifically on Shavuot that I don't feel the whole year. And when I finally read a Torah of Rabbi Nachman on Shavuot, and he's speaking about the mikveh on Shavuot and the 50th gate, and then when I started seeing the teachings of the Arizal, that he says that there is a revelation of godliness that takes place on Shavuot, doesn't take place the entire year. It's the Keter, it's the crown. And he said everything from Pesach through Sfir to Omer is to lead us up to this point of Shavuot on this day. This is the reason why King David was born and passed away on Shavuot. The soul of Mashiach comes from this 50th gate, this highest of places. Zat Hashem. And so there's a very big or that's coming down on Shavuot. This is when Matan Torah was. A lot of people don't know this, but the entire story of Matan Torah, the entire experience of Matan Torah, is really a prelude as well to Techiyat HaMeitim. Every single thing that happened on Shavuot, from the Jewish people receiving a new revelation of God called the Torah, Moshe coming down the mountain, the Jewish people being so overawed by this that they were literally resurrected from that Torah, from that dew. And the same thing is going to happen with the Geula, with the redemption. There's going to be these waters of Tal, these waters of Techiyat HaMeitim, resurrection. And it's taught according to the Zohar and Kabbalah that these waters are the waters of Torah. So every parallel that we have from Shavuot, from this first experience, is what we're waiting for as well with the coming of Mashiach and Techiyat HaMeitim. Okay? Complete renewal of existence of the world. We're going to spend the next 2 weeks, Bezrat Hashem, beginning to work on this Torah, having to do bedafka with the revelation of Torah. It's not a Shavuot Torah dafka, but it is a Shavuot Torah dafka. and it's a Torah that I really, really love, and I think it's going to be amazing for us. It's not as long as the Torahs we've done in the past as well, so Bezrat Hashem, won't take us as long to go through it. This is Torah Lamed Vav. So if you go to Lamed Vav, we don't have an exact date for this Torah. However, most likely it was given between the years 1801 and 1803, which puts Rabbi Nachman between the ages of 29 and 31. And that puts Rav Natan, either it's before he joined his Kehila, or it's right when he joined his Kehila, which would mean that Rav Natan was 22, 23, 21. Okay? There was an 8-year difference between the two. So here, we're going to start with the pasuk that Rabbeinu brings in the beginning, like he does in most of his lessons. He starts with the pasuk from Tanakh. He spends the entire lesson breaking down, building up this unbelievable, majestic mansion of ideas, of concepts, interwoven in a way which is unprecedented, not just in the Jewish world, but in any world. And then at the very end, he comes back and he shows you how the whole thing is in the first pasuk that he starts with. The pasuk is from Tehillim. This is Perek Chaf Zayin. B'karov alai mereim lechol et besari. This is an amazing perek where King David is speaking about the war that's being fought against the Jewish people, against him. And King David is saying, Hashem, I trust in you, that you're going to help me win this war. And regardless of anything, you asked me to want you, and I want you, and I'm looking for you. I'm not giving up on that. And at the end of the day, there's one thing that I asked for, Achat Sha'alti, that I'll be in the house of Hashem. I'll be in your presence. I'm going to experience you, and no matter what I'm going to go through in my life, I know at the end of the day, that's coming. And in the meantime, help me, okay? It starts like this. V'zeu klal. Oh, one more thing. Rav Levi Yitzchak Bender, one of the leaders of Breslov Hasidus, the leader of the community in Yerushalayim. Rav Levi Yitzchak Bender, he's one of the main sources we have for Breslov Masoret, Breslov tradition. Right? All Siach Sarfei Kodesh is coming from words that he said. Most of what we know about Breslov, or since the time of Rabbi Nachman, a lot of it is coming from his mouth. Okay, he was one of the main students, if not the main student, of Rav Avraham Barav Nachman, who was the son and the main student of Rav Nachman, who was the student of Rav Natan, who was the student of Rabbi Nachman. Okay, so Rav Levi Yitzchak Bender said that there's a few Torahs that Breslovers would study constantly. They would review often, because there are certain foundational elements in those Torahs that Rabbi Nachman wanted them to live with always. Okay? One of those lessons is lesson 34, which we have not done yet together, but that lesson is one where Rabbi Nachman speaks about the Likutey Tzaddik, that you need to connect with these 3 points every single day. They are found within the tzaddik of the generation, they are found within your friend, and they are found within yourself. And Rabbi Nachman explains over there, Bezrat Hashem, we will do this Torah together, we must do this Torah together, that what does that look like? How do I do that on a practical basis? I find it in the tzaddik of the generation through his teachings, right? So that's Bezrat Hashem, what we're going to do right now. So that's how I check off that checkbox. We're going to do that. How do I get it from my friend? Through Sichat Haverim, through conversation with my friend, specifically about Yirat Shamayim, meaning our spiritual journeys, where we're at, what we're trying to accomplish, the struggles that we've had, the successes that we've had. I receive from the Likutey Tzaddik in you, you receive it from me. Now you might say, well, why do I need it from my friend? I can get it from the Rebbe. And Rabbi Nachman says, in fact, that there's a Nakuda in your friend that you won't find in the Tzaddik of the generation. So you must speak to your friend once a day. Now obviously you probably feel like as well, before you started doing tshuva, this was just a part of my life that was very healthy and made me happy, was to spend time every day hanging out with my friends. And then once you did tshuva, and then it became like a very internal, singular, individual, very personal journey. So a lot of times, the friend part, not on purpose, just goes to the wayside, or you don't exactly know how do friends fit into Judaism. You know?
Is it Bittul Torah?
Yeah, this whole thing. And sometimes even when you go to yeshiva with your friend, and you see you get really inspired, and you take it really far, and you see he's just like, yeah, this is interesting, and he doesn't really want to go there. So then it's like, well, what's our dynamic now? And then you feel like something's missing in my life. And then all of a sudden you get to Rabbi Nachman and he goes, Yeah, having friends is actually really important. It's not just important when you're secular, it's also important when you're spiritual. And it's not just important for psychological reasons, for emotional reasons, for humane reasons. It's important because you actually cannot get closer to God without speaking to your friend every day. Okay? That's the Nekudat Tzaddik in your friend. You do that simply by talking to him. Sichot Averim. And then finally, there's the Nekudat Tzaddik within yourself. And how do you think you access that point of the Tzaddik within yourself? Hipodadut. Very good. Beautiful. Okay? Boom. So therefore, why is that a lesson that was studied very often? Because it's not a famous lesson like it is like Torah Vav, right? Reish Pei Bet, Torah Ayer, right? 10 in Tinyana, 25, the whole Torah in Hipodadut, 48 in Tinyana, the Rebbe's letter. These are like much more famous Torahs within Breslov lore, but according to Rav Bender, they weren't studied as much as 34. Why was that reviewed so constantly? Because practically, you actually have to do this every day. Whereas with the other ones, there are ideas that you have to try to live with and embrace and cultivate and whatever, but it's not necessarily a practical action that I have to take. In this case, with 34, there's a practical action that I have to take. There's 3 of them, actually. I have to learn the Rebbe's Torah every day. I have to speak to a friend every day about Hashem. And I have to talk to Hashem every day. And if I miss one of them, I'll miss a point of the tzaddik in that day.
Can Hashem be my friend?
Hashem is your friend.
But it's not
It's not this. Yeah.
A human? Gosh.
Yeah.
Chat, friend, GBT, or whatever it is.
Which, by the way, this is one of the secret/unsecret reasons that I made Atik Yomi. I Bedavkov wanted a place that everyone can Makayim Sichot Averim very easily. Now, obviously, it's much better if you talk. It's better if you talk. But on the tzad that, let's say, for instance, you're not there yet, or you don't have a friend that you feel comfortable talking like that, or whatever's going on, right? I have this group of guys that I tried my very best to cultivate a place that literally, and I think that that's what everybody feels, and nobody's talking about politics in that group. Nobody's speaking about business in that group, right? But everybody is probably, has an opinion about that, and maybe works, right? But we don't do that there. What are we doing there? We're trying to get closer to Hashem in that group. That's what the group is. So everything that's happening in there is really Sichot Averim. And that's why very often you'll see in that group, a person will say like, wow, whatever was said there, that affected me more than even when I learned the lesson, right? Or that, and they'll attribute it to something experiential, meaning, yeah, because this is just a book, it's not a person, and like now I'm speaking to a friend, I can relate to him more. It's not just about what's going on the outside. There's literally a point of godliness, which is it's only within your friends. Just in the way there's a point of godliness which is only within the tzaddik of the generation, just like there's a point of godliness that is only within yourself. And you can't get it from the tzaddik of the generation, and you can't get it from your friend, you can only get it from within yourself. And you need to attach yourself to those 3 points, and I'm not going to go over why that is. When we do the 34th lesson, we'll go over why it's so vital to do that, okay? This lesson is another one of those lessons where Bender said that Breslov Hasidim would review very, very often, okay? This is lesson 36, again, in the first section of Likutey Moharan.